If you would like to support the podcast and get some extra content while you're there, head on over to patreon.com/SevereMMA podcast and sign up. From the rewatch to the Q&A, we will have loads of content every week. So sign up, patreon.com/SevereMMA podcast. And now, here's the podcast.
Graeme McDonald is an idiot.
Sean Sheehan of SevereMMA.com. He even has the audacity to call himself the quote-unquote pod god.
This is SevereMMA.
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 The SevereMMA podcast is finally here.
Welcome to the SevereMMA podcast. Here's your host, Sean Sheehan.
Welcome everybody. It's episode 368 of the SevereMMA podcast. My name is Sean Sheehan, joined today by the Sadio Mane of Irish mixed martial arts media, Graeme McDonald, as we talk about one of the biggest nights in terms of excitement in the history of UFC fight nights, I suppose we want to put it that way. We won't go too mad with it, but a great night in the world of the UFC. Anyway, we'll get into all of that. But before we do, we must give a shout out to our sponsors, Manscaped. Sweaty sack summer is approaching. It's already here if this weekend is that just right, and it's time for you to prioritize the comfort of your crotch. That's why the Kings of Crotch Comfort, Manscaped, have spent 2 years designing the most comfortable boxer briefs out there. I have the honour of testing these boxers out, and I can say that they have the softest fabric of any underwear, so breathable that it's like gills for your groin. They even trademarked the jewel pouch, so you know it's serious. I think it's time you invest in your family jewels. So let your bulge breathe and get 20% off and free shipping with code SevereMMA at Manscaped.com. And Manscaped have been supporting us for a long time now, and all their products, I think everyone who's used our products knows how good they are. They're absolutely phenomenal. And let's say you're out on a date and your partner catches the Manscaped on your waistband and your underwear. It's almost guaranteed to raise some eyebrows and act like a billboard on the highway to Pleasure Town. This is thanks to the Lawnmower 4.0. That's the electric trimmer. It offers the advanced skin safe technology to trim hair on loose skin. But outside of that, they have the game-changing boxers as well. They include the jewel pouch, a pouch designed to cradle your boys in their old special space, lined with perforated performance fabric to keep them well ventilated. Basically, just imagine your balls sipping pina coladas, chilling out in a hammock in a tropical beach. The micrometal fabric is buttery soft and breathable, keeping your cucumber cool. Walk, run, strut. These moisture wicking boxers breathe without breaking a sweat. The tagless waistband hugs your body without digging in, and it lays flat against your skin to reduce safing. The front fly opening gives easy access and make bathroom breaks quick and efficient. You can choose from an arrangement of designs and colours and sizes, range from small to a 3XL for all of the small guys and the big guys out there. So call to everyone here. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SevereMMA@Manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping using the code SevereMMA@Manscaped.com. Once the Boxers 2.0 touch your sack, you'll never go back. Right, Graeme, let's get straight into it. So before we get to the fights, before we get to that big UFC card I mentioned, we must make like a slight announcement here that, well, not a slight announcement, it's a pretty fun announcement. It's something we've been looking to do for a while, but we're going to be sponsoring our first fighter. So we're sponsoring James Sheehan to get the SevereMMA logo or whatever it might be on him as he goes to his fight next week, which we'll be talking about towards the latter half of this podcast, Cage Warriors, and we'll have a breakdown during the week on it as well. But it's something we've been trying to do for a long time, Graeme. And like we tried to do it with another fighter before, and it fell apart for one reason or another. And then we obviously had the pandemic and stuff. And it's something we want to do once a year, maybe. You know, an up and coming fighter, someone with 3 or 4 fights, or maybe even under pro debut or something like that. Sponsor them for one fight. We were even the last time we were planning on doing it, we were going to do it like whatever amount of money they wanted, and then people could sign up to Patreon But this time it was more short notice and stuff like that, and everyone signed up to Patreon. All the money would go to the fighter or whatever. Maybe next year we'll do it like that as well. But for this year, we have James Sheehan from Team Rhino, representing SevereMMA or whatever. I feel like, we have obviously taken a lot from Irish MMA, and we're trying to give a little back, I suppose. Now we give a lot back ourselves anyway, I suppose, but we're trying to give another little bit back to the fighters anyway, Graeme. I know it's a thing you were kind of pleased we could do as well, and it's going to be fun to see on next Saturday night, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be cool to see the Severe logo on the shorts and all that as well. But it's also obviously good to, not a major amount of money, but these guys at the start of their career maybe aren't as rich as some people may think, and a little bit of sponsorship obviously helps as well, and is good for us and just good for everybody. So yeah, it's good to finally get it going. As you said, we tried to get it going before, and for one reason or another, it didn't happen. But this time it looks like, fingers crossed, without any pullouts or anything like that. We know it's MMA and anything can happen, but hopefully it'll go ahead.
Yeah, 100%. And we will. I think Ian is getting James Sheehan on for an interview as well this week. So I know I broke our golden rule there of never mention an interview until it's already done. But sure, look, we've done now, so I'll blame Ian.
You've cursed it now.
I'll blame Ian if it doesn't work.
Ian's going to get COVID, and all internet around the world is going to go down.
It could happen. But either way, look, James Sheehan will be fighting next week anyway. Hopefully, you never know with MMA. But looking forward to that. Cage Warriors Garden. It's a great week for Irish MMA, and any little way we can kind of give back and help out, we'll be happy to do it, and we'll try to do it as often as we can. Right, enough about us. Let's get into the fights and talk about this unbelievable Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett card. I know you didn't stay up for it last night either, Graeme, did you? I was out at...
I just watched it this morning, but I avoided any kind of...
Oh, did you?
Phone, so I knew.
Did you watch it from bottom to top, or did you watch the top of the card first? What way did you do?
I watched the main card first, and then I watched the prelims after.
How... did you kind of capture how amazing of a card it was by doing it that way?
I think so. It's really hard to know because I didn't experience the actual card as it ran, and obviously when you're watching it live, there's a lot of breaks and a lot of promos and a lot of like walk-ins and stuff that I skipped and stuff. So maybe that takes you kind of out of the atmosphere of it a bit. Yeah, I didn't. I watched it this morning as well. Obviously, I was out, but I was kind of checking my phone during the card a little bit, and I could see people talking about, like, I think I saw Jedi Goodman talking about they were en route for it to be the most finishes in UFC history, and I think it went level with that, didn't it? So it was unbelievable that way. So I kind of knew it was amazing coming into it, and then I think I was asleep or maybe just put away my phone before the main event. So I went back and watched that first thing this morning, and I probably did it like the wrong way around, because that main event, it wasn't great. It was a good fight, but I think I had like this whole card built up so much in my head before I went and watched it that the main event kind of disappointed a little bit. But then I went back and I caught the rest of them. Actually, do you know what? Maybe you've seen it, but I missed the fucking Kuta fight, which was the one I was looking forward to the most of the. I don't know how I missed it. I just realised it here looking at the card. But anyway, there was some unbelievable finishes, some unbelievable knockouts, and then the main event as well. I suppose we'll quickly run through the card and then we'll talk more about the main event, starting from the very bottom. The Roman Dolidze Kyle Dawkins fight, just a very, very quick knockout there. Dawkins got knocked down early, then he came back, but then got absolutely flatlined again late in that one. Big, massive knee, and he got put out by that one. The next fight in the card, now I want to talk a little bit about Phil Hawes and Derwin. And usually we started the big fights, but we'll get to the big fights later. I feel like this card deserves maybe to go from the bottom to the top because it was so fun. I'm not to rail on DC here or anything, but doesn't Deron Wynn just show what we talk about all the time to be true, that DC kind of telling every fighter he commentates on to fight the way he does. Every time.
It just does not work for other people, because Deron Wynn tries to fight the way DC fights, and which is fair enough. Like, he's apparently good wrestler who's small and squat for every division. He's like a 135er fighting a middleweight. and he just got absolutely destroyed by a good, not great fighter in Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes is a guy I think who, and I've said this a few times, but he could go on to be very good. Another one of the guys who came with a lot of hype early in his career, maybe didn't meet it, and I was kind of coming back in maybe his second or third incarnation as like a prospect coming through, but I just think after, and there was a few fights like this actually on this card, and fair play to Harry, I think mostly it's Spencer as well and Ian on the preview show, they kind of called this out, that there was a lot of fights here that maybe were very one-sided, and that's what maybe made for a great card as well. This just looked like a mismatch, Graeme, didn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, when you kind of get blown out of the water like that, it looks like a mismatch, but you know, I don't want to see either guy going too far, to be honest. Phil Hayes, as you said, he's shown kind of glimpses, but you know, as you go up the division, I suppose it isn't exactly a killer's row, but I still don't see him, you know, unless he makes major advancements in his career, really going anywhere. And for a win, it's early in his career as well, but yeah, I don't see much for either of them. But you know, when there's not too much jeopardy or not too much to look forward to for the future, what you do want is a kind of entertaining fight with a big finish. So you know, it's good to get that. Yeah,
not to go full Prince Nazim Hamed here, but like I find it very hard to see a top class future for Deron win, or like even like a UFC future for him. Honestly, I think the fact and you know, we've had it here with McGregor with a couple of fighters and stuff, but the fact that he's friends with DC is probably the only reason he's in the UFC in the first place, and probably the only reason I think he's still there. It's just it's you can't see him. There's just nothing that he has that is going to change him from this very average fighter he is right now to something that's going to be very good, like, because like his ability isn't strong enough to make up for his like unbelievably overwhelming athletic misfortune, I suppose, or not misfortune is the wrong word, but he's you know, compared to, like, look at Hawes here. Hawes is not particularly massive or anything, and he's just so much bigger than him, just miles and miles and miles bigger than him, and that's going to be the case for everyone almost during win fights, and it's going to be impossible for him to make that up. So I don't know, I think maybe if he could get down another way, maybe get down to 170 or even get down to 155 if possible. I know he's fought up at like 205, hasn't he? So maybe that's not possible.
But as you go down to 170, 155, I think the competition gets harder as well, and I don't know, I think I agree with you that maybe a few years ago he wouldn't even be in the UFC, and maybe even if he was somebody else who wasn't a kind of good friend of Cormier, with the streak he's been on, might already be cut, and he might end up getting cut now, unfortunately for him. Yeah, you know, PFL maybe might be a good place for him to go or something like that. Middleweight's not the best division in the world, and if he did go to PFL, they don't have a middleweight at the moment, I don't think. There, maybe I'm gone mad, but I don't think the UFC is for him. Cody Stamen then gave Eddie Wineland another defeat. Hell of a beating.
Eddie Wineland caught one shot and it looked like it was over, didn't he? It was.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go out though, because we've seen him before. He took some serious shots, but it was only going one way, and I actually think the ref could have stepped in a little bit earlier. I know standing stoppages, the ref's probably waiting for him to fall, but he was taking some serious shots there, and wasn't looking like in any way that he was going to get out of there. Yeah, he took an awful. It's not that he took an awful beating, although he did take an awful beating, but I suppose. When you're someone like Eddie Wineland, we always talk about the damage and the perception of the damage it has on someone. Like, every shot Wineland takes, it feels like he's on the verge of going out, or like one shot away from going out, or it rocks him and he reacts so bad. Do you think that's our bias from seeing him before, or do you think that's just the way he was reacting to the shots? It's just the way he reacting to the shots, I think. I don't know whether it's his chin is gone or whether... I don't know what it is. Yeah, he's always been the type of guy that, you know, tries to kind of react away from a shot to kind of miss it, and sometimes that actually makes it look worse, you know, when you're kind of pulling your head back. But then, like, when it looks like you got your head snapped back, but maybe you didn't as much. But yeah, I don't think there was a case here, especially really, in the final flurries. No, definitely not. But when you kind of, even the first one, when you kind of get knocked down as well, it looks like you're almost getting fucking flatlined out of it. So yeah, a good win for Cody Stamen. But I think, as I said as well earlier, Harry called this one. He was
was like, the man's going to come in here and steamroll him, and that's what he did in 59 seconds. Maria Oliveira then got a split decision win over Gloria De Paula. I skipped that one. Ricardo Ramos beat Danny Chavez, and this was... this was
all sorts of
the elbow, wasn't it?
Highlight reel the whole time, and ended up getting another spinning elbow and finish. And fucking hell, it looks like he's throwing it with precision rather than hope, like we see with a lot of them, a lot of the spinning attempts, especially spinning back fists and spinning forearms and things like that, spinning elbows. I'd like to see him step up, obviously, but he did look really good, and he looks really confident and flowy, and he looks a really real danger on the feet, especially.
Isn't it? It's funny, shots like this that you set up, as you say, he throws it with precision. It's kind of one that you see coming that your opponent can't see coming, which is unusual in mixed martial arts these days, because we kind of, I suppose, we know every technique and every fighter knows every technique, but it's do you remember Sergio Pettis against Haraguchi when he landed when he landed the knockout kind of out of nowhere because he kind of stepped over him and he couldn't see it coming, and it's like, oh Jesus, that's there's nothing you could do about it. Like, there's no way you can get out of it. It feels like the spinning elbow from Ricardo Ramos is one of those ones where he just like he kind of walks into you in a way that anyone would normally walk, or maybe like a step to the right, and then turns and hits it with such fucking ferocity and precision that it's a real kind of...
It's a tight kind of... Yeah. Usually it's kind of a loopy thing that you see kind of... But this is a tight, like, meaningful... It just looks really, really nice, and it looks really planned, and it doesn't look like, I just threw this kind of because the situation arose. It looks like he's set it up, as you kind of mentioned. And
as well, it's enough fun to see someone doing something different, and not necessarily that we haven't seen it before, but the way he set it up and the way he uses it as a weapon kind of regularly while not overdoing it is absolutely brilliant. And it's not something we see too much in MMA these days as well, because as I said earlier, all the techniques are kind of out there now, but he has certainly kind of refashioned that one and is using it very well. And he kind of knocked Chavez outstanding, and he was just there against the cage, and it was another one. It was the referee came in and he stopped it, and I think everyone knew it was finished when it was. So I hope Chavez and everyone is okay after this. But beautiful stuff by Ricardo Ramos. A beautiful finish as well for Jeremiah Wells, who knocked out Court McGee. Missed on a couple of shots, but him with the big left hook over the top. Not often
the coffin nails were nasty.
Yeah,
very nasty coffin nails at the end there.
And the way Court went out as well with his two arms like an angel out. It was like he was being like taken up or something. It was, I don't know. It was a bit biblical or something, or Jeremiah, and it was, I don't know. It was a crazy knockout, and to see Court McGee get knocked out like that as well. There's some fighters, and let me pull up Court's record, but I don't think he's been knocked out that many times. At least not recently. Anyway, all of his last 5 or 6 losses, even more, 7, 8 losses have all been by decision. So it's to see a guy like that, it's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and he's as you kind of mentioned there, he's a very difficult guy to look good against, and this was like something out of a movie. The way he had his arms spread out and he was lying kind of perfectly in the middle of the cage after those coffin nails, and fair play to Jeremiah Wells. Court McGee has a lot of kind of split decisions or close decisions on his record, and a lot of guys find it difficult to get anything going against him. But that left hook was nasty, and those coffin nails were brutal, and it was a beautiful performance from Wells.
Beautiful stuff indeed. And Natalia Silva beat Jasmine Jasdavicius. I know a lot of people had high hopes for Jasdavicius, but she ended up losing this one.
Just followed Silva around the cage, getting picked off with shots and just not really knowing what to do, and it was pretty easy for Silva.
The judging wasn't, I don't think there was any major mishaps or anything in the judging tonight, but I was thinking about it as well. I watched Dana White's press conference afterwards and talking about going to Texas more regularly, and that's going to be a problem in Texas. I know there was one judge that someone was talking about tonight, and he's only judged like one UFC before in 2016 or something, and that is a major problem with Texas, because you have some good guys. I think Chris Lee was there last night, and Sal D'Amato and a couple of others, but then you have like random schmo from fucking Houston who, you know, does Fight Night Texas 47, you know, every 4 months or something.
Leave the schmo out of this, Sean. Come on.
He was there actually, that fucking idiot. But yeah, that's going to be an issue when people giving on about judging. But that's where we'll find bad judging, and there's a lot of it in PFL as well. I think they're in Georgia or somewhere now at the moment, and yeah, the judging there isn't great either. But anyway, Adrian Yanez then, as my friend Aaron Bronstetter called it, he said he cancelled Tony Kelly, which was pretty funny, and he absolutely did that. He just smoked him here. Unbelievable power. The body shots even open up the hooks. I'm sure my friend Dan Tom will be delighted to hear about them body shot scoring and stuff like that. But Cruz, I think, said something really intelligent here. He was talking about Tony Kelly not defending well, and he defends with his offense, which is something that I'd never really thought about before for a kind of any fighter, but it does make sense with Tony Kelly. And when he was forced into a defensive game or like a non-offensive game by Mianis, he just could not handle it at all. Kerry Hatley, bit of a weird stoppage here as well, and then he fell over and kicked Tony Kelly in the face when he was already out, which was mad altogether. But serious power by Mianis.
And then he pushed him like it was his fault, even though Tony Hatley had like touched him a little bit and kind of fell and stumbled, and it was a disaster of a stoppage. Yeah.
What do you think of the fight overall, though?
Yeah, the fight was good. I kind of agree with what you said. It was Yanez obviously continued the streak of knockouts, and you don't really see that many kind of knockouts like that in 135. So yeah, it was good to see. But yeah, I think the ref kind of, I don't know, he kind of blew it a bit. Like he touched him. I don't know if which fighter sees that and who thinks it's over and not, when you start touching them and then there's shots afterwards and then you start kind of pushing them, trying to break up the fight.
That's
I don't know.
The worst. Those are the worst ones. Kevin McDonald ruined it.
Like, it could have been a really nice, like it was really nice for Mianis, but he kind of ruined the moment.
Yeah, he definitely did. I think the next fight was one of those fights as well that the referee didn't ruin it. I think it was Mike Beltran, and you talked about this in a fight a couple of weeks ago, that, you know, we're losing out on classics for kind of early stoppages at times, and this wasn't necessarily a classic, but he didn't stop the fight when maybe a couple of times he could have stepped in, and I think it was the right decision every time. And this is the Gregory Rodriguez Julian Marquez fight I'm talking about, when where Rodriguez knocked him out after giving him really a hellacious beating for 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Marquez did land a couple of shots.
Marquez was thrown back. He was. Every time like it looked like the ref was going to think about stepping in, or it could be a moment where he stepped in, he was thrown back. Even if he was completely off balance, or even if he was just kind of all over the place, he was shown again and again, I want to be in here.
Yeah, 100. This was one of those fights as well, a little bit like Hawes and Wynn, where it and this one even more so, I think, it looked like a professional versus an amateur. And I don't want to be disrespectful to Julian Marquez or anything like that, but this looked like a guy.
But you look like an amateur.
This looked like a guy who has been doing kickboxing and just the kickboxing bar, and I know the lads were talking about his jiu-jitsu as well, but it looks like a guy who'd been fighting in fucking Glory for the last 5 or 6 years, and then he comes in with a guy with, like, you know, a year's worth of training in a jiu-jitsu gym or something. He looked a different level, like defensively, offensively, speed, power, technique. He just looked way different level. And still in all, Julian Marquez hit him, and I don't know, did he knock him down? Was he off balance? But anyway, he kind of got straight back up and went back at it again. But, you know, I like Rodriguez. I think he's very good. Marquez, another one of these guys who's he's a name that people know now, so he'll probably stay on in the UFC for another while, but he is an inferior fighter to Rodriguez anyway.
I kind of agree with you there. With the commentators kind of were like, "Oh, amazing," but I thought it was more Gregory Rodriguez slipping in the kind of flurry. It was. I don't think Marquez even landed it. I don't think they showed a replay of it, so I have to go back and look at it. But I agree that I think it was more of a slip than Marquez landing anything or anything strong, impactful anyway.
Yeah, it's funny to see a fun middleweight fight as well, so at least we had that in this. Did you watch Days Magulov Kutaladze fight? I'll have to go back and watch that. I somehow missed it.
I watched it. It was close. Like I think the first 2 rounds were pretty obvious. So it comes down to the 3rd round. But I thought, I'd have to go back and watch it closer. But I thought it went the wrong way in the end. I think Kutaladze won the 1st and the 3rd, but the 3rd was either way. So I don't think it was any kind of robbery or anything like that. And it was a close fight. Maybe if I watched it back, might think differently. But I did think it was going to go the other way.
Good stuff. I'll have to check that out during the week, and the lads will be doing Hot Topic as well this week, so we might even touch on that. Jakeem Buckley then against Albert Durev. He kind of beat him around the place. Buckley did here when he got the chance. They talked about how these 2 lads had trained together, and it felt like Buckley he went back to maybe what he used to be like before throwing all these big techniques. In his last couple of fights, he's been more kind of steady and fundamental, I think. But he was, even mentioned on commentary, he was throwing bigger in this one. And I think it worked for him, honestly. Like, there's some fighters like that. We obviously often use the Land of Venata, and you use it, Graeme, the Land of Venata example. When he's coming out and he's throwing all these big techniques, he's actually better than when he's trying to be like a good fundamental fighter, I think. And now, for some guys, that's absolutely wrong, but for others, I think it is the way to do it. And I think Buckley might be one of them. He does gas out, and he does.
Like Miguel Pereira, like he needs to have at least some of that still in his game. Maybe not as wild as Johnny Walker. You could say the same. He's trying to become more technical, but you need to keep some of that, that danger and kind of unpredictability in your game as well, and find the balance.
I think Buckley did find a good balance in this, to be fair, because he was still going well at the end of that 2nd round, and Durev's eye obviously closed very, very badly. I love the way they kind of noticed it in the middle of the 2nd round, and then they just kind of let him go, and the referee was looking at it the whole time. It's like, if the eye is shut, then fucking come in, pause the fight, get the doctor to look at it. I think it's weird. We'll just let it go till the end of the round. That's fucking man. I meant just a soccer match, and it was a lad with a broken leg, and half time is in 5 minutes. Should we leave it? Like, that makes no fucking sense. Just pause the fight, get the doctor to look at it. It was obviously very, very bad. Now, I think the cut man with his inswell actually did a great job of trying to get it open, or tried to do it anyway, but there was just nothing he could do. And the doctor came in and rightly stopped it. I think Durev kind of knew himself, and his corner knew himself as well.
He kind of didn't put up much. Usually you're kind of like, no, I'm fine, or just gonna like brush the doctors away, but he did seem to think, maybe it's better I get out of this.
Yeah, but I suppose there was one shot late that Buckley landed. I think it was kind of a kick to that side, and he just didn't see it at all. And I think at that point he was like, oh fuck it, what can you do? Actually, Durev landed a massive head kick on Buckley after Buckley had landed one on him early, and he just walked straight through it. It's always insane when you see those shots. You might see one of them every 2 or 3 months in MMA, but someone just gets hit with a clean head kick and they just walk through it, and like, these lads are made of something fucking different. And Jakeem Buckley, seemingly in that fight anyway, was one of them lads. Was unbelievable. The co-main event then, we had Kevin Holland versus Tim Means. Very good performance from Kevin Holland, kind of maybe an old school Kevin Holland performance. Not as much of the talking, not as much of the messing and bollocksing went in there. Tim Means probably a good matchup for him. Ended up getting the finish, hurt Tim Means a couple of times. We got the Darce choke, the Bravo choke laid on, and it was impressive from Kevin Holland, wasn't it?
Yeah, I agree with all that, but I do, moving down from 185 to 170 against a guy who Tim Means, who isn't the best kind of wrestler, and he's getting kind of easy takedowns on you. At least one really easy takedown on you. That's going to be worrying for Kevin Holland moving up the ranks of 170. There's a lot of good wrestlers up there. If he wants to make a shot at getting up to the upper echelon, I think he's going to have to improve his wrestling. You could maybe think, 185, these are big, strong guys, and he's getting taken down, and maybe he'll have, I think he just has to work on his wrestling. It's going to cause him problems as he moves up. But besides that, those little moments, obviously he kind of had his way with Tim Means and was beating him on the feet, and probably could have finished him with strikes, but sunk in the Darce choke, and Tim Means tapped pretty quickly. Yeah,
it's a good point though about 185, because he talked again afterwards about going back up to 185, fighting Brunson again. And there aren't as many good wrestlers at 185 as there are at 170. and
Or fighters.
Or fighters, indeed, yeah, 100%. But like, look at someone like Adesanya. He, is able to get to where he got to without basically any wrestler test of note. You had the Brunsons, okay, and a couple of other guys as well, but you don't have Colby there. You don't have
decent wrestlers, but there's no like high pedigree wrestlers that are gonna cause a serious problem.
That might work out better for Holland if he went back up, I think. And Dana White didn't seem too opposed to it, so that's something we could see. But anyway, let's move on to the main event. Josh Emmett got the split decision win over Calvin Kattar. Went all 5 rounds. Do you know what, Graeme? It was a lot slower of a fight than I was expecting from the start. The first round, they kind of, I think, spent getting into it, and then from the second round on, there was a little bit more, but still in all, there wasn't that many like big, hurtful shots. Probably the most effective shot of the whole fight, I don't think I even saw it, and it was the one that caused the cut early. Like, it felt like, I haven't gone back and watched it, but it felt like it could have been the edge of a glove or something like that caught Emmett and cut his eye. But overall, it was a good fight, but one that maybe underwhelmed a little bit. What was your take on it?
Yeah, it wasn't the most exciting fight, but it was on kind of a knife edge the whole time, and you had to kind of, I found myself having to pay really close attention to it. As you said, if you missed a second of it, you could miss something vital like the cut. I actually missed how the cut happened as well. I think it was probably just like kind of a glancing jab or something like that, because Kattar was kind of getting the jab going, but there was obviously some follow-up shots that swelled up the eye as well. But I think that the rounds were so close. Like, I actually thought that Calvin won the fight.
Me too.
I thought he won the second. The second,
fourth and the fifth. Yeah, that's what I had to. Yeah.
I thought it was quite clear as well, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, that's exactly how I said it. We haven't talked about it before. I haven't put up my scores or anything, but that's exactly how I scored it too.
There was a lot of winging punches from Emmett that were kind of wild, but they were the commentators were reacting to them as if they landed, but they were blocked on the hands a lot, or moved. Calvin was moving away while they kind of maybe semi-landed. I didn't see anything too big, but having said that, I didn't see anything too big from Calvin either. So it was close, but I think it probably came down to the second round. I'm not sure what the judges' scorecards were, but. I thought Calvin did enough to win that.
I'll pull up the judges' scorecards here as we go and see what they had. I actually haven't seen him yet either, but I'll run you through quickly what actually I have the judges' scorecards here now. Just let's quickly look at it. So Douglas Crosby had it 48-47 for Kattar, same as we had it, and he had 2, 4, and 5. So we agree with Douglas Crosby, which is probably not great. Sal Diamata had a 48-47 for Emmett. He had it the same way as us, but he had round 2 for Emmett. And then Chris Lee had a 48-47 for Emmett too, obviously, but he had rounds 1, 3, and 4 for Emmett.
4 for Emmett.
Gave 4 for Emmett, yeah. So
that's a bit mad.
Gave 2 and 5 for Kattar. Yeah.
4? What?
Yeah, 4 seemed to be like one of the close rounds. Yeah.
One of the closest? I thought
one of the clearest rounds. Yeah. I mean, one of the clearest rounds. Yeah, sorry, not closest, one of the clearest rounds, but I don't know. Well, I'll run through quickly what way I saw the fight anyway. I thought round 1, very little done by either guy, I thought Kattar was kind of controlling the range, but was landing just nothing. I think Emmett, he landed 2 big leg kicks. He landed a body shot late as well, and I thought he won that round, Josh Emmett, based on that. He did get the cut, so that's maybe something you could put his way, but no, I thought Emmett won that round, and all 3 judges did give him that round. The second round, I thought Kattar was landing better with his jab, but not half as much as Cruz was saying. He landed a nice combination in the middle of it. Those late knees as well, I thought were enough to seal him the round. Emmett landed a few late, but I thought it was a Kattar round. Round three was probably the closest one. Emmett landed more power shots. He got more offensive than countering, and I think that kind of benefited for him, so I gave that one to Emmett. 4, Kattar was landing way more, but the power of Emmett I thought was good until the big spinning elbow that hurt him. It didn't look massive, but his reaction, I think, showed that it was, because he got wobbled again by that 1-2, and there was late flurry for Emmett, but that's definitely a Kattar round, I think, because
he kind of moved into the elbow as well. Like it looked, like he took it well, but it looked really impactful.
And he did take it well, but the reaction afterwards, the fact that he got wobbled with a 1-2 straight after it, I think showed that it was such a big shot. And that elbow and the 1-2 after were by far the biggest shots in a close round. Like Josh Emmett did have a good late flurry, but and I actually did think he was winning up until the big shots as well, but only barely winning. Even like I think they showed it was like 44-12 or something in terms of shots. Kattar leading Emmett, but I had Emmett leading with those 12 shots based on power. But
strikes are a lot of shite though. Yeah.
Exactly, but I'm just kind of giving an example of the way that I didn't take that into account, but still. The significance of the 2 strikes, the elbow and the 3 strikes, well, the elbow and the 1-2 that Kattar landed were more significant than any of his 44 shots or any of the 15 or 16 shots that Emmett landed. So I didn't win that. And then the 5th, Kattar just picked him apart. This was weird. Like Josh Emmett, his eye looked really bad. Kattar's eye actually started to close up as well in this round. But Emmett just did nothing until like the last 40 seconds and then just like missed every shot.
That was because of his corner, I think. His corner told him, he's basically, after the second round, he said, you're 2 rounds up. And then after the 4th round, he said, you're winning 3-1. He's going to get desperate. Watch out. Don't, like, basically be careful.
In the end, it turned out they were right. Cause
yeah, but fucking hell, they were lucky.
they were lucky, yeah.
Because that 4th round, the 4th round that he definitely lost, in my opinion, had it been scored correctly by who was it? One
Chris Lee, was it? Yeah, Chris Lee.
Yeah, then he would have lost the fight. So it was very risky corner advice.
100%. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I thought it was. It wasn't the hardest fight in the world to judge, and now that's easy for me to say sitting fucking here at my desk, 3,000 miles away or whatever it was, but we kind of got it the same way.
If Chris Lee had given the second round to Emmett and he had won the fight that way, I would have understood it more. But the 4th round just is a bit out there.
Yeah, look, the second and 3rd rounds, all 3 of them gave the 3rd round to Emmett, which I think was correct. I had it that way as well, but I thought that might have been the swing round. That second round, I can understand the second round as well, but I don't know. It just felt like Emmett wasn't doing enough, But I don't know. It was one of those.
No, I'm just comparing it to the 4th round.
The 4th
round didn't seem as close as those earlier rounds to me at all.
Yeah, that was definitely a Kattar round, but in the end he loses it anyway, and Emmett moves on. Emmett called out either Volkanovski or Holloway. I'd say he'll be waiting for that one. To be fair, then I might afterwards I don't know.
Another wrong decision, Sean, as the head of the judges union. What do you have to say?
I don't know.
It's been a rough patch.
It's been a rough patch. Why? Which other one was wrong?
Sure, it wasn't. Was Shevchenko?
Did you watch that? I watched that fight back, and it was like, geez, it was way clearer for Shevchenko on watch back than it was watching it live. Expectancy bias, yeah. Sure, we were all expecting Kattar to win this. Expectancy bias was the only reason, But overall, it was a fight that maybe grew into itself. It kind of got better until the 4th round, and then in the 5th, it was kind of a damn squib as well, with Emmett just doing nothing. But not a great fight. Probably like a solid 6.7 there on the scale that I used to do, that I gave up on doing. But
So what did you think, as speaking of your position as the head of the judges union, what did you think of the Jeremy Stevens Miles Price decision?
Yeah, we'll get to that next, and let's get to it. I thought Miles Price won it, to be honest.
I actually thought too. Yeah,
it was very
close.
Second
round was really, really close, but I thought he did enough. And the 3rd round, I thought he definitely won. Jeremy Stevens definitely won the first, but like it definitely wasn't any robbery or anything. It was a close round, but I thought he was going to get his hand raised, and I think they have like live betting odds. Everybody seemed to think, like the betting public seemed to think that I think by the end of the fight he was a -400 price after being plus 1,100 or something like that at one stage.
Yeah, look at the first round, Jeremy Stevens. He did well. He landed probably the better shots than Miles. Miles tried to get a takedown early. Again, didn't work out for him. Ended up on bottom, but he didn't panic this time. He did well. He got out of it, but
yeah, the takedowns in the middle of the cage didn't go well for Miles in the fight. I think a couple of times, but the one he got against the cage was huge for him in the third round. And just it was really strange. Jeremy Stephens just looked so odd with his head shave. Yeah, he just looked like he looked like a completely. It was just off-putting or something during the fight. I was like, this is just weird. I don't know what. Like I know, like usually if a guy shaves his head, he looks similar. Like, but Jeremy Stephens looked like a completely different person.
It was also odd just seeing Miles Price against Jeremy Stephens for some reason. It was one of those. I didn't watch all the card last night. I kind of went back and watched some of it, or on Friday night, and I kind of just turned it on for this fight because I saw him coming out, and I was like, "Jesus, this is a bit weird." But yeah, it was a pretty good fight, honestly. Miles had a phenomenal performance. I thought this was a great performance because, you know, another tough start again after. And I talked to him about like the mental aspect of it last week. The Pettis fight coming out early. Like, do you go for the takedown? And you know what happened can happen, or do you hold on, not go for the takedown, maybe get knocked out, and everyone's saying, how the fuck didn't he go for the takedown? That's a very tough thing. Like, what decision do you make? And it was the same coming in here again. I'm sure he was thinking that as he walked out for Stephens. But
I think the decision is you go for the takedown, and even if you don't get it, you know, at least Jeremy Stephens is now has in his head, oh shit, like I've got to worry about this takedown at all times.
Yeah, and that did happen, to be fair. The second round, like I think it was very even, but I think the biggest thing that happened in that second round was like a 3-4 combination from Miles Price, like in the middle of the cage. The only thing I think that went against him is that Jeremy Stephens landed one big shot right after
that. There was like a combo from Miles, real nice combo from Miles. It was one, but it was for me, it was a little bit reaching. It was a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It kind of took away from that because we always talk about, you know, the reaction that the fighter has to the strikes show how much it's scored on the judges, and I feel like that good reaction from Jeremy Stephens won him the fight. Like literally that one punch won him the fight in an odd way, because if he hadn't, let's say if he'd backed up against the cage, or even like Miles had pushed him against the cage, something circled away, I think Miles wins that fight. Honestly, I do. But that one right hand that he got back, he kind of, you know, if it had scored 5 points, he might have got 2 of them back with the right hand or whatever. No, that's not the way it scored, but you know what I mean. It was so close, and then Miles went out and took him down and dominated him on top in the third round. It wasn't by any means like a 10-8 or a destruction or anything, but he landed top position, landed enough, shots, enough shots, not get it stood up, enough shots to win the round.
Yeah, he made it difficult for Jeremy. Like, you know, he went in there and, you know, did everything that we kind of said in when we previewed this fight that he needed to do to win, and you know, it's going to be very disappointing and hard to take because, you know, as you said, it was razor close second round. It probably came down to that 5-second period where that combo from Miles and that reply from Jeremy, and that basically swung the fight. And you know, he's obviously got 2 quick losses here, but he gave him much better account of the fighter that he actually is in this fight. And maybe it's hard to take now, but maybe in the future you can kind of look back at it as a kind of big good performance in his career. So
I was actually talking to him last night for a second, and he kind of said that to me. He was like, you know, some fights you win and they're a loss, and some fights you lose and they're a win. And he kind of said, like, this feels like more of a win than a loss, you know, even though he did end up losing it, which is
good. So quickly he's kind of come to that. Usually it takes a while of kind of the depression first, and then the kind of the realism of it.
And I know this is kind of the end of the season, but Miles was kind of saying that PFL are probably going to try to get him back in there this year again in 8 weeks or something like that. So, you know, that's obviously not official, but that's what they're kind of looking at, I suppose. So that's great, and hopefully he'll be able to get on next season as well. You never know as well with this playoff format and all. Someone could get injured, someone could fall out, and maybe Miles Rice will be able to get back in it or something. So absolutely. Yeah, indeed, it's stay ready. So great performance off for Miles, and I would love to see him back in there next year if he can't get back in there this year. But
what did you think about Jeremy Stephens? Did you think he looked kind of shot, or do you think it was just more Miles made it dirty?
I don't know. Do you know what? The weight cut mightn't have been great for him. I know he didn't cut the hair because of the weight cut. People were saying that, but he had some, like, let's say a Manscaped.
What does hair even wear? Like, weigh, like, unless you got really long hair, probably weighs like 0.1 of a kilo or something.
He had a non-Manscaped sponsorship apparently with some shitty hair cutting company, and they apparently got him to Manscaped.com using SevereMMA. But I think that's the reason why he did it. But yeah, he looked good in the first round, I think. But I think the fact that Miles kind of took a lot of his best shots and kept coming and made it awkward for him. I think Miles' cardio was fantastic in this as well. He kept going for the whole fucking fight. I think that's what Jeremy has always suffered with, when people can take his shot and push forward. I think that was exactly it here as well. So he didn't look like the best Jeremy Stephens, I wouldn't say that, but I think Miles fought very well against him. Quickly in the rest of that card, a couple of the standouts. I mentioned Josh Silveira last week, who's the son of Conan Silveira, the world-renowned coach over at ATT. He won. He moves to 9-0 now. He beat Martin Hamlet, who has been kind of a very good wrestler in that 205-pound PFL division for the last while. So a big win for him there. Rob Wilkinson, he's on a great run here. He's only 15-2 now. One of those losses was Adesanya. He knocked out Victor Pesta, who got knocked out as well in his last fight. So maybe turning around quickly wasn't great for him. Dylan Monte beat Emiliano Sordi in an upset, which I kind of half predicted, if I'm not going to lie. I didn't predict Nathan Schultz to beat Marcin Held. He got that one back after Held beat him a couple of years ago. Mari Akhmedov knocked out Theodoros Akulistis, who, to be honest, he submitted him with an arm triangle. Not a great fighter, to be honest, Theodoros. But Mari Akhmedov as well, another guy who's really benefited from going to PFL, and that's 2 finishes in a row for him this year, so he's looked very good. Aubin Mercier then against Tausch Maffeo. I actually haven't caught that fight yet. I must go back and catch it. I thought that Maffeo would win that fight, but Aubin Mercier ended up winning it. Antonio Carlos Jr. surprisingly enough went to decision with Bruce Soto, and then in the main event, Alex Martinez and Clay Collard went to a split decision. Martinez won that one. I watched that one back this morning. I picked Martinez to win it, honestly, but I had Collard win. So I'm not sure of the reaction. I saw a few people talking about the bad judging in this or whatever, but that second round I think was a very tough one to score, because Collard knocked Martinez down like really hard at the start of the round, and then Martinez almost rear naked choked Collard towards the end of it. So that was the split round, and that's a tough job on the judges. Do you go for the big knockdown, or do you go for the guy who was almost choked out? I'm just looking at the cards here on MMA decisions, and is that the way they had it? So the first round it was Collard. Yeah, the second round was Martinez, and the third round was Collard, Martinez. So it was actually the third round that went the other way. But I see all four lads here picking on the media scores. All had it for Collard 29-28, and that's the way I had it as well. But it was it's funny that the third round I thought went for Martinez. Actually, the one judge gave it against him, and they all gave the second for him. So, fair enough. If you had it that way, that was pretty good judging, or pretty even enough judging. So we can't complain too much about it, I suppose. Right, let's talk about next week, Graeme, and let's look ahead to what UFC is next week. Is there a UFC? There is a UFC in 6 days' time. Let's see who's fighting here. Arman Tsarukyan against Matthias Gamrot. A great fucking fight. A really, really, really good fight. Tsarukyan is one of the best up-and-comers in that division. Gamrot has been around for a long time. We saw him, fighting in KSW and dominating over there, 20-1. Only lost to the guy we saw there last week, Kuta Taladze, was it, if I'm not mistaken? Let me pull it up here. Yeah, Gordon Kuta Taladze is his only loss. Obviously has that win over Norman Park and the no contest with Norman Park as well.
Wasn't there a lot of cheating going on in those?
There's a couple of eye pokes and a few things happened to that, but this is a really good fight. The co-main event is fantastic as well. Neil Magny against Shavkat Rakhmonov. I would nearly have rather seen that, honestly, as the main event, but I won't complain about Tsarukyan Gamrot being the main event, because that's very good as well. And in the rest of the card, do you know what a fight that I think is brilliant? Umar Magametta versus Nate Mianis. Mianis, I watched a couple of his fights recently because Tony Gravely fought who did Tony Gravely fight? God almighty, Johnny Munoz, didn't he? And Nate Mianis has a win over both of them, and both of them are good fighters. So, by my MMA Matt's there, he's a very good fighter as well, and he's gone in there against Nurmagomedov, so I think that's a good fight. Do you not think so? No,
I think Nurmagomedov's gonna
I think we'll wait and see. And now, Tony Gravely's a very good wrestler, and he couldn't destroy him, so We'll see. I think he'll probably win as well, but I wouldn't rule out Mianis at all. I haven't watched him a good bit, but Chris Curtis is back again. He's fighting Rodolfo Vieira. That's an interesting one. Tafon Nkuchi is fighting Carlos Ulberg. We'll have a full breakdown of that anyway this week on the preview show, probably Thursday night, Wednesday night at midnight. Well, if you're in Ireland and you'd want to stay up that late, watch it the next morning over on YouTube and start your day off well with that one. I'll run you quickly through, Graeme, PFL and the Bellator cards for next week as well. I know you're really excited about them. I have breakdowns of them coming out on Cage Warriors this week, so I've looked into them a lot. Brendan Loughnane is back. Yeah. He's fighting Boston Salmon, who's a tricky southpaw. He fought a tricky southpaw on Roji Kudod last time as well. Almost got knocked out because of it, so I'm sure he'll be looking out for Salmon here. I'm very interested to see if he has recovered from that injury he had in the last fight. We'll see coming into this one whether he is or not, but it's a big fight for him if he wants to get into the playoffs in the 145-pound division. Lance Palmer as well against Shayman Moraes, obviously the former champion there. Palmer, Moraes, very good fighter as well, and we'll see how that one goes.
Palmer, I don't know, he hasn't looked his old self recently. I think the gig might be up.
One of those guys as well that needs to get out of PFL. I think I like PFL and I like what they're doing.
He should have gone out about 4 years ago.
Maybe not that much. Yeah, I feel like PFL, right? It's great to go and win it. It's great to go and win it a second time, but after you've won it a second time, you need to go away and go and do something else, because it's like you're starting all over again, and starting all over again is never great. But especially in the same place. So I think him and Nathan Schultz as well, I'd love to see him go and try something out elsewhere. But that £1 million, that's £1 million as well. You can't give out about that. So Bubba Jenkins fighting Saba Balaji. I don't think Balaji will put up much of a fight in that one. Very good fight. Ali Asayev, this guy is fucking legit. 9-0, hasn't fought in 2 years, but he's a heavyweight that throws big spinning wheel kicks and stuff, and is good wrestling as well. Jamal Jones got knocked out in like 8 seconds last time, so yeah, I think Isayev will win that one. He actually beat Denis Goltsov last time out, and Goltsov is fighting this guy Sam Kay, who's come over from Australia, who looks like he has knockout power and good wrestling as well, so that could be interesting. Anton Deja is going to absolutely destroy Stuart Austin. Hinan Fahea is the guy who knocked your man out in 8 seconds. He's fighting Clidson Abreu, who's a good tricky southpaw with unbelievable jiu-jitsu as well, so he'll be trying to stay as far away from Fahea as he can, get the fight to the ground and win it there. Chris Wade is fighting Kyle Bozniak. If Wade can get the fight to the ground, he should win. Bozniak likes to drag things into a war at times, so that could be interesting. Anthony Pettis against Stevie Ray, Graeme. What do you think of that fight? Yeah. We know how Anthony Pettis is best, don't we? Do you think Ray can do it?
Yeah, well, the blueprint is definitely there, as you mentioned there, and Stevie Ray, he'd have to put on kind of one of the best performances, if not the best performances of his career, but the style is there, and it's a lot closer a fight in my opinion than it would have been over the years, so now's the time to do it. But yeah, I still think Pettis will probably have enough. He like he showed against Miles Price, he is very dangerous still. His losses are the kind of top guys. I know the Clay Collar thing or whatever, but he's shown himself to be a very good fighter as well. But I'd probably pick Pettis, but it's a much closer fight than it would have been in previous years. Yeah,
I think that blueprint is the most important part of it. Like if he can do what needs to be done, it could go well for him. And in the main event, Bruno Capiloza, my guy, one of my favourite fighters, fighting Matthias Scheffel, who is absolutely useless.
It's a pretty good card though overall.
It is, yeah, it's a good card. I broke it down well there, didn't I? I'm like the world's premier fucking PFL journalist, I feel like, here, breaking down all their cards. Are very, very fun. But that should be fun.
Throw an Irish guy or two on a card and we're in.
We're away with it. Bellator then, not as exciting a card, I suppose. They've some of their good up-and-comers. Irish
Brennan Ward.
Lucas Brennan as well. He's definitely Irish. He's 6-0. Cody Law 6-0 as well. Arya Stark, Ilira Joanna is on this card as well. A big fight for the women's featherweight division. Kat Zingano against Pam Sorensen. Probably the winner of that is going to fight for the title. Let's see how much Kat Zingano has left in the tank against Pam Sorensen. 155 pounds as well. It could be the next title decider. Brent Primus is fighting Alexander Shabley, who's been very impressive so far. As you mentioned, Brendan Ward is back as well. We have the 135-pound tournament, 2 massive fights in as well. Magametta versus Enrique Barzola. That's my fight of the weekend. That's a fucking brilliant fight. I love Enrique Barzola, and if he can stop that takedown against Magomed, it's going to be a nightmare for him. We saw Rafian Stotts was able to do that, and he beat him. So if Barzola can do the same, he'll make it very interesting. And then Danny Sabatello is fighting Leandro Higo, another wrestler against a guy who's obviously an unbelievable Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but a good striker too, so that'll be an interesting matchup there. And in the main event, Johnny Eblen against Gegard
human
Mousasi.
cheat code.
The human cheat code, indeed.
Yeah. You know, is stylistically, like, he does have a chance here, but it is a big step up in class from John Salter to Gegard Mousasi. But you know, I don't see him winning it, but I see him making it difficult for Mousasi early anyway. But yeah, I think Mousasi's experience and his all-round game is going to be too much. Yeah,
Eblen's wrestling is obviously brilliant, and his striking has improved an awful lot over his last maybe 4 or 5 fights. But a lad who could barely strike 4 or 5 fights ago is going in there against fucking Gegard Mousasi now. That doesn't make for good reading for him, I don't think. So,
but if he can get the takedown, early, that changes everything.
And look, Gegard's been beaten by good wrestlers before. Now his last fight against Austin Vanderford, he went out and just destroyed him, very early. So, but Austin Vanderford did get like a stinger or something in that fight. But yeah, you'd have to pick Mousasi there, but as you said, there's ways for Eblen to win. An early takedown, keep him down, hold him down. He can beat Mousasi, and
Mousasi can be a bit passive, like if he's on his back, he can kind of just accept him more than maybe other fighters, or maybe
very
somebody
often
whose ability should. He has the ability to get back up, but maybe sometimes he just doesn't because he's Gegard Mousasi. Yeah. But no, I do see him having enough here.
Indeed, 100%. Right, let's move on, talk a little bit about Cage Warriors. Right, so Cage Warriors come back to the island of Ireland, and is it just me, Graeme, or is this flying a little bit under the radar? Usually these Irish shows are massive, and we're talking about them for weeks and weeks beforehand, but it feels like we've just been waiting for a few announcements that have never come, like the Paul Hughes fight fell out. That was, obviously he was supposed to fight. I don't know who he's supposed to fight. I think Harilla was the name going around because Vucinic is kind of, I don't know what he's doing now. Then there was like talks of Joe McColgan at the very start, and then that just went nowhere. So we were like, everyone was like, "Oh, we're going to have
Henry
3 title fights."
Also fell off the card as well. So
yeah, it's like we're going to have 3 title fights here, loads of people to talk about, and then it's like, oh well, we have 1 title fight, which is great. It's a very, very good fight, and I think the lads have Rhys McKee on this week, and he's fighting Justin Burlinson, which is a very good fight. But it just feels like it's a good card. Yeah. It's a good card, but we were like expecting so much more. It's in the Odyssey as well in Belfast, isn't it? The SSE Arena, which is a big arena, and I'm not sure. I haven't looked at ticket sales or anything like that as well. But I thought they were going to put on like a massive card to sell lots of tickets, and it's not that easy to do it. Especially when you have injuries to guys like Paul Hughes. I'm not sure McColgan. I talked to him in an interview a couple of months ago now, and he's said in other places as well that, his most important thing is his day job, and absolute massive respect for him for that. But, getting him on this card would have been massive, and the fact that they haven't been able to do it is unfortunate. But anyway, what we have is a pretty good card. What do you think of the McKee versus Burlinson fight? It's a massive one, isn't it? And this is a UFC level fight, I think, here, and the winner of this will be on there, maybe not straight away back to the UFC, but definitely on the road to it.
Yeah, it's no easy matchup. It's for Rhys. It's no easy matchup for either guy. It's a hard one to pick. Like it's like I think Rhys will have to be sharp early. Like if the tide kind of goes with Burlinson early, it could be a long night for Rhys. But I probably would back Rhys to get it done. It's going to be a big crowd as well, which he's been in before. A lot of support as well. He's obviously fought in the UFC. He has that experience. He's fought at the top level in Cage Warriors. He's shown some brilliant performances in the past, and been we've talked at length at how the Chimaev short notice fight UFC debut was basically a write-off. Like, everybody knew that even going in, and the Alex Morano was a close fight that he lost and was very harshly cut, and he came back with a good finish, a good finish in his Cage Warriors return. But I think this is a much tougher fight. And as you said, it's kind of like a UFC caliber fight, and whoever wins this will probably be straight back into the UFC. And I think Reese will get it done, but I think this if he doesn't kind of get into his flow early, this could be a very difficult night for him.
Yeah. I think Burlinson, like on his last fight, he got kind of clipped at one stage and he came back and he maybe showed a couple of things that you need to show as someone only 7-8 fights into your career, and I think that will serve him well going forward. And I think Reese McKee probably look at that and go, well, look, I need to bring out a few of those bad things he showed, and in the fight before that as well, obviously on the Contender Series where he lost, that's what Reese will be looking to do. But I think both of these guys are going to be kind of walking forward, throwing bombs at each other, or not necessarily throwing bombs, but technical bombs maybe. This is 5 rounds as well. We must remember that. So it'll be very, very interesting. Reese has obviously struggled to make 155 before, up at 170 now, but I think he's grown and probably struggling to make 170. No, maybe not struggling, but it's still a bit of a cut to get down there, I'm sure, for Burlington as well. So, to go those 5 rounds, as you said, when you're not in the UFC, when you're not earning that big money, maybe not able to invest as much as you normally would be, it makes it all even tougher. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a really good technical fight. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it went all 5 rounds and was close. But the power from both guys, I think early will be interesting. But if they can kind of both get through that, I think it'll turn into a long technical fight, and it could be the one that whoever has like the better technique and the better game plan will shine through and end up winning maybe 4-1 or 3-2 or whatever it might be. But yeah, I think I'm expecting a very good fight, is what I'm expecting here, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Obviously,
I could see either guy getting TKO'd or KO'd in the first round, or I could see it going to a decision.
It's very evenly matched. Yeah, great fight. Obviously, we're going to break down this Seoul card during the week on a preview. I don't know if I'm doing it for here or Sherdog where I'm doing it, but we'll have one anyway somewhere. But there's some really good up and coming Irish prospects in this card after the Pasquale Hardwick fight. Harry Hardwick's back here. He's better fighting for a title soon. But Caelan Knocker is back as well, 5-0. He's fighting another 5-0 guy, Festus Abreu. James Sheehan, who we mentioned earlier, obviously he's a SevereMMA sponsored athlete. He's fighting Martin Koss, who's 3-1. If James Sheehan can move to 5-2 here, that's absolutely massive for his career. The 2 Shelley brothers as well on it. Ryan Shelley's fighting Matthew Elliott. That is an unbelievable matchup, and that's a brave Manny Indian putting them the 2 lads together, because they're two big prospects, and Ryan Shelley will be the underdog, I suppose, coming in, or not the underdog, but he'll be fighting the hometown favourite, so he'll probably be getting a few boos and stuff there. Matthew Elliott fighting out of FAI up the north, so the old Dubliner will be the guy probably getting the boos coming in there. So at 4-0 enemy territory going in there, yeah, indeed. And his brother might get the same when he's got in there too. So I think the Andy Young fight is off as well. He was supposed to fight Scott Malone. That's obviously very unfortunate. Glenn Irvine is on the card against Mike Chamu. I think the Jordan O'Neill fight and the Troy Gibson fights are off as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, we'll obviously with Cage Warriors, you never know until Monday or Tuesday what's on and what's off. So we will update the card as it goes. As you mentioned, the Henry Felipe fight is off as well. So it's been a very tough time over the last while for Cage Warriors, with fights falling off, and this London card coming up as well. And I think a lot of people want to fight in London. They're trying to get on that card, but yeah, it's I don't know, I'm sure it'll be a great card, and Adam Darby's on the card as well. I must mention that as well. But we'll have a full breakdown of it this week anyway, and I'm looking forward to watching it next weekend as well. Always fun to watch Cage Warriors, and always fun to see them on back on Irish Island. You know what, we might even have someone else back, Graeme, this week up there at Cage Warriors, on the microphone.
You're teasing everything that isn't done yet.
Yeah, that isn't. Well, it's not done yet.
Don't count your chickens.
Yeah, that's true. We'll wait on that one. So yeah, I think that's most of the news we've had this week. Yeah. So we'll leave it at that. What do you think, Graeme? For everyone who hates soccer can just turn off the podcast now. But what do you think? Liverpool selling your best player? That must have been tough, was it?
Mane, yeah. Well, he's one of our best players over the last few years. He's done an absolutely phenomenal job. throughout his time at Liverpool. You know, obviously he had a bit of a, not last season that's just ended, but the season before, after COVID, he had a bit of a tough time, but he came back even stronger, and you know, he's done it in important times for his country and for Liverpool, winning goals, things like that. He's going to be a big miss, but you know, as you've been saying for years, you know, the squad's kind of aging at the same time and needs to be freshened up. And you know, Fabio Carvalho's come in, and Nunes has come in, and Diaz came in a few months ago as well, a bit earlier than expected because Spurs tried to get him as well. So that had to be pushed forward a few months. So it's freshening it up, but it is very sad to see like a legend like that leave. But with 1 year left on his deal, you kind of have to sell him now, or you lose him for nothing. And in the market at the moment, it's hard, you know, for the wages he's looking for, 400 grand a week at Liverpool, and I think he's getting 350 at Bayern Munich. So, you know, there's not many clubs that can offer that at the moment, especially with the signings that have been made. Obviously, PSG signing Mbappe to a new contract and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's kind of a hard position to be in. You want to give him 400 grand a week at his age for a 5-year contract, or do you want to let it go another year, lose him for nothing? So yeah, it's sad to see him go, but it's good we have kind of reinforcements in already. Diaz looking good, and Nunes hopefully hit the ground running. Carvalho looked really good in the championship. Obviously a young player, probably take a while, but promising signs from what I've seen. Obviously scored against City in the FA Cup.
All right, calm down. All right.
So you know, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Oh, you wouldn't worry?
Klopp's it's a bit of the team have a very good record of buying and selling players. It's
a bit of a Man United move, though, isn't it? Selling like a good player for half nothing and then paying 100 million for some unknown lad from Portugal, like. Bit of a Man United move, that.
Unknown. Maybe because you're not watching the Champions League because Man United aren't in it, or you're a City fan. You're watching every game.
You've never seen fucking Darren Nunes. Who the fuck is he?
He scored in both legs against Liverpool.
Oh, did he? Fair play to him. Yeah, solid fucking whoever. Will you go away?
So did nobody else.
Who's Darwin Nunes? You go away. Oh yeah, you knew exactly who Darwin Nunes is because you watch him on fucking YouTube. That's why you know.
I saw him obviously in both
Champions League
against Liverpool. I'm obviously watching Liverpool. You are too as a huge Man City fan.
This is the beginning of the end for Liverpool. Like it just looks like
you've
the
been saying this for fucking 3 years, Johnny.
you finished behind Man United fucking last season.
Last season we finished second, man. What are you talking about?
Well, whatever it was, 2 seasons ago. Sorry, this season.
The cursed season of all the injuries and
finished
the
behind Man United.
amputations.
We'd only Gunnar Solskjaer. Yeah, we'd fucking only Gunnar Solskjaer.
You were supporting him, saying how great he was.
Never won the league last year. Never won the Champions League. Never scored a goal in the final. I don't know, Graeme.
Scored loads of goals in the final from the penalty spot. Even the goalkeeper got in on the act. Sure, at least we had finals to get to, Sean.
We had finals to get there. We didn't get there.
What finals did your team, Man City, get to?
I support Manchester United, unfortunately.
No, I wish I did fucking 2 or 3 years of WhatsApp messages that would say otherwise. You don't even like football. You don't. Are they playing? Are they? Oh, I didn't even know they were playing. When Man City are playing, you're all over it.
What about the WhatsApp message I sent you asking if you were pleased with Liverpool's season or not, and you just completely ignored it? Do you want to answer that now? Or are you pleased with Liverpool's season?
You sent so many messages that I didn't respond.
Go on, you can respond.
I was pleased with the season. Obviously, it ended badly, but to get into the position of, you know, a few minutes away from a potential quadruple, you know, a complete collapse by Aston Villa away from a league, and you know, an unfortunate probably deserved to win the game performance against Real Madrid. So you know, in order to fail at the very top level, you got to get there, and you know, for a Man United and a Man City fan, you know, I don't know which you are these days. It's hard to keep track.
Well,
but
Man City won the league.
Very satisfying for you to see us lose, but it's good it's good to be in the position to attempt to win these trophies.
I love the way you're kind of back in old school Liverpool fan mode as well, where you have to like come up with all these excuses. It's actually great. It's great to see. It's great to see. But yeah, congratulations anyway. You had a great season.
Good signing for you anyway.
Hold on. You won the cups that you want to be out of. Like you and you'll admit this, won't you? You always want to be out of those cups in the first round. Like you never want to win them. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I want out of the cups when we
Yeah,
don't
and then
have
you
the
won.
squad,
That's all you won
but,
this year.
Like I don't think it was ideal. I think even with the squad this year, it didn't work out. Like I think if we hadn't had to play as many games, we might have ended up winning either one or both of the Champions League and the league. Like we were kind of the walking wounded. Fabinho was coming back from an injury to play the final. Thiago was playing the final injured. Van Dijk was coming back from an injury. Everybody was just kind of like on their last legs by that stage because of so many games, and that's the problem with the
aging squad,
cups.
as I said. Yeah, that's correct.
It's the problem with the cups. There's just too many games. Like even we've seen it with Man City when they go for all the cups, it always falls apart in the Champions League in the end.
Yeah. All right, we leave it there. Sure, in Ten Hag we trust. It's going to be a great next season. Can't wait.
We'll have to clip this up in Ten Hag we trust. So
Liverpool,
3 months
Man
time,
United.
you'll be calling for death by shooting.
I don't know. I'll give him a bit of a chance anyway. But he's not one of these lads where he comes in and I'm like, look, we'll give him a couple of years and see it. I don't know.
Good. He's got the worst English of any Dutchman I've ever heard.
I said that to one of my friends, and he completely shat me. He was like, "What are you talking about? He's perfect English." I was like, "What?"
No, if you go to Holland or Netherlands, and 99% of people speak absolutely perfect English, like from my experience, but he doesn't.
Yeah. Anyway, we leave it at that. At least Limerick are class anyway, although I haven't said that. You never know. We've got
I don't know
that
anything
for
about
us.
that, but yeah, probably.
But, right, we leave it there. Thanks to everybody for listening. Anyone who stuck by for the end of the podcast, fair play to you. You're all fucking legends. We will leave it there. Graeme, let us go with the quote of the week.
Hey, wait. I got a new complaint. Forever in debt to your priceless advice.
What's that one from Bayern Munich? Is it all right? We'll see you all next week. Good luck.